should come see me in the 713 281, everything's on me. Wanna see my name tatted on your body, but let's keep it low-key, cause you're not the only one who wants.
The elevator dinged as it reached the top floor of the towering corporate building. YN straightened her skirt nervously, clutching her portfolio tightly. She was about to pitch her design ideas to one of the most influential CEOs in the industry, Mr. Jungkook. As the doors slid open, YN stepped out into the sleek and modern reception area. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. But nothing could have prepared her for the moment when her eyes met those of Jungkook himself.
Ms. Min, I presume?
Jungkook's voice was smooth, his gaze piercing yet inviting. Yes, that's me. YN replied, trying to sound confident despite the butterflies in her stomach.
Right on time. I like that.
He said with a faint smile, gesturing for her to follow him into his office. YN couldn't help but notice the air of power and authority that surrounded Jungkook as they walked through the bustling office. But beneath his professional exterior, there was something about him that intrigued her. As they entered his spacious corner office, YN couldn't help but admire the stunning view of the city skyline. But her attention quickly returned to Jungkook as he took a seat behind his desk, motioning for her to sit across from him.
So, Ms. Min, I'm eager to hear your ideas.
He said, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. And so, YN launched into her presentation, her passion for design shining through with every word. To her surprise, Jungkook listened intently, nodding along and asking insightful questions. By the time she finished, YN was breathless, her heart pounding with adrenaline. She looked up to find Jungkook studying her with a newfound respect in his eyes.
Ms. Min, that was truly impressive.
He said, his voice sincere.
I believe we could do great things together.
YN's heart skipped a beat at his words, a rush of excitement coursing through her veins. Little did she know, this meeting was just the beginning of a journey that would change her life in ways she never imagined. In the days that followed, YN found herself consumed by thoughts of Jungkook. She couldn't shake the memory of their meeting, the way he had looked at her with such intensity. But as much as she tried to focus on her work, she couldn't deny the growing attraction she felt towards him. And it seemed that Jungkook felt the same way, their interactions becoming increasingly charged with tension. One afternoon, YN found herself alone with Jungkook in his office, going over the details of their latest project. As they worked side by side, she couldn't help but notice the way his eyes lingered on her, sending shivers down her spine.
Ms. Min, there's something I need to tell you.
Jungkook said suddenly, his voice low and urgent. YN's heart leaped into her throat, her pulse quickening with anticipation. Was he about to confess his feelings for her?
I'm in a complicated situation.
Jungkook continued, his expression conflicted.
I can't tell you the details, but it's important that we keep our relationship strictly professional.
YN felt a pang of disappointment at his words, her hopes dashed in an instant. But she knew she had no choice but to respect his wishes, no matter how much it hurt. Of course, boss. She said softly, forcing a smile despite the ache in her heart. As they finished their meeting and YN gathered her things to leave, she couldn't help but steal one last glance at Jungkook. But what she saw in his eyes only deepened the mystery surrounding him, leaving her more intrigued than ever. Little did she know, their attraction was only just beginning to blossom, destined to ignite into a love that would defy all odds. Weeks turned into months, and YN found herself falling deeper and deeper under Jungkook's spell. Despite their best efforts to keep things professional, their connection only seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. But their forbidden romance remained just that. They stole moments together in secret, meeting in secluded corners of the city where no one could see them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the city lights began to twinkle to life, YN found herself standing on a rooftop overlooking the skyline. She shivered in the cool evening breeze, her heart racing with anticipation. And then, like a dream, Jungkook appeared beside her, his eyes dark with desire as he pulled her into his arms.
I can't stay away from you, YN.
He whispered, his breath warm against her skin.
No matter how hard I try.
YN melted into his embrace, her body humming with longing. She knew their relationship was risky, but in that moment, she didn't care. All that mattered was being with him. As they gazed out at the city below, YN felt a sense of freedom wash over her. With Jungkook by her side, she felt invincible, ready to take on the world no matter what obstacles stood in their way. Little did she know, their secret rendezvous was about to take a turn, leading them down a path fraught with betrayal and heartache. As YN and Jungkook's relationship flourished in secret, whispers began to circulate throughout the company. Rumors of their forbidden romance spread like wildfire, casting a shadow over their once idyllic love affair. But YN refused to let the gossip get to her, clinging to the belief that their love was strong enough to withstand anything. That is until the day she walked into Jungkook's office and found him locked in a heated argument with his ex-wife, Sarah. YN's heart sank as she listened to their exchange, the truth slowly dawning on her. Jungkook had been hiding his past from her all along, and now to tear them apart. You lied to me. YN whispered, her voice trembling with hurt and betrayal. Jungkook reached out to her, his eyes pleading for forgiveness.
YN, please, I never meant to hurt you.
But YN couldn't bear to hear another word. With tears streaming down her face, she fled from his office, leaving behind the shattered remains of their once perfect love. For days, YN drowned her sorrows in work, trying to forget the pain of Jungkook's betrayal. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't erase him from her heart. And then, just when she thought she couldn't take the pain any longer, Jungkook showed up at her doorstep, his eyes filled with regret.
YN, I'm so sorry.
He said, his voice raw with emotion.
I never should have kept the truth from you.
YN wanted to turn him away, to shut the door on him once and for all. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw the depth of his love for her, and she knew she couldn't walk away. Little did she know, their journey was far from over, and the true test of their love was only just beginning. Despite the pain of Jungkook's betrayal, YN couldn't deny the love she still felt for him. And so, against her better judgment, she allowed him back into her life, giving their relationship a second chance. But rebuilding their trust was no easy feat. They navigated their way through countless obstacles, their love tested at every turn. One evening, as they sat together in YN's cozy apartment, Jungkook took her hand in his eyes filled with sincerity.
YN, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness.
He said softly.
But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right.
YN looked into his eyes, searching for any trace of deceit. But all she saw was love and regret, and she knew in that moment that she was ready to give him another chance. And so, they embarked on a journey of healing and redemption, learning to trust each other once again. But their happiness was short-lived, as a new emerged to tear them apart. A rival company, jealous of Jungkook's success, launched a smear campaign aimed at destroying his reputation. As accusations flew and the media frenzy reached a fever pitch, YN stood by Jungkook's side, determined to weather the storm together. Little did she know, their love would be put to the ultimate test, as they fought to overcome the obstacles standing in their way and emerge stronger than ever before. As the smear campaign against Jungkook intensified, YN found herself thrust into the spotlight, her every move scrutinized by the media. But through it all, she remained steadfast in her love for Jungkook, refusing to let anyone come between them. One evening, as they huddled together in Jungkook's office, YN couldn't shake the feeling of dread that hung in the air.
They're trying to destroy us, YN.
Jungkook said, his voice filled with frustration.
But I won't let them win.
YN took his hand in hers, squeezing it tightly. We'll get through this together, she said, her voice unwavering. And so, they fought tooth and nail to clear Jungkook's name, uncovering the truth behind the smear campaign and exposing the lies of their enemies. But just as victory seemed within reach, disaster struck in the form of a devastating betrayal. One of Jungkook's closest allies, a longtime friend and confidant, turned against him, siding with their enemies in a desperate bid for power. YN felt her world crumbling around her as she watched everything she held dear slip through her fingers. But through the chaos and despair, one thing remained constant, her love for Jungkook. And as they faced their darkest hour together, YN knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. Little did she know, their love was about to be put to the ultimate test, as they fought to reclaim their happiness in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As YN and Jungkook struggled to rebuild their lives in the aftermath of the devastating betrayal, they found solace in each other's arms, their love stronger than ever before. But the road to redemption was long and arduous, filled with obstacles and challenges at every turn. One evening, as they sat together on the rooftop of Jungkook's office building, watching the sun set over the city, YN felt a sense of peace wash over her.
We've been through so much, YN.
Jungkook said, his voice soft with emotion.
But we've come out stronger on the other side.
YN leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. I wouldn't have made it through without you, she whispered. And as they sat together in silence, watching the stars twinkle overhead, YN knew that their love was unbreakable, a force to be reckoned with. But their happiness was short-lived, as a new threat emerged to challenge their newfound peace. Jungkook's ex-wife, Sarah, returned to the scene, hell-bent on reclaiming what she believed was rightfully hers. YN felt a surge of fear and uncertainty wash over her as she faced off against her formidable adversary. But she refused to back down, determined to fight for the love she and Jungkook had worked so hard to build. And as they stood together, united in their determination to overcome whatever obstacles stood in their way, YN knew that as long as they had each other, they could face anything life threw their way. Little did she know, their love was about to be put to the ultimate test, as they fought to protect their happiness in the face of unimaginable adversity. As YN and Jungkook prepared to face off against Sarah in the ultimate showdown, tensions ran high, their nerves stretched to the breaking point. But through it all, they remained steadfast in their love for each other, drawing strength from the bond that had carried them through so many trials and tribulations. One evening, as they sat together in Jungkook's office, mapping out their strategy for the upcoming battle, YN felt a sense of calm wash over her.
We can do this, YN.
Jungkook said, his voice filled with determination.
Together, we're unstoppable.
YN nodded, her heart swelling with pride. I believe in us, she said softly. And so, they plunged headfirst into the fray, facing off against Sarah with courage and resolve. But just when victory seemed within reach, disaster struck in the form of a shocking revelation. Sarah had been plotting against them all along, orchestrating a series of betrayals that threatened to destroy everything YN and Jungkook had worked so hard to build. Her heart breaking into a million pieces. But through the chaos and despair, one thing remained constant, her love for Jungkook. And as they faced their darkest hour together, YN knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. Little did she know, their love was about to be put to the ultimate test, as they fought to reclaim their happiness in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As YN and Jungkook emerged victorious from their final showdown with Sarah, they found themselves standing on the precipice of a new beginning, their love stronger than ever before. But the scars of their past still lingered, a constant reminder of the trials and tribulations they had endured. One evening, as they sat together on the rooftop of Jungkook's office building, watching the stars twinkle overhead, YN felt a sense of peace wash over her.
We've been through so much, YN.
Jungkook said, his voice soft with emotion.
But we've come out stronger on the other side.
YN leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. I wouldn't have made it through without you, she whispered. And as they sat together in silence, wrapped in each other's arms, YN knew that their love was unbreakable, a force to be reckoned with. But their journey was far from over, as they embarked on a new chapter of their lives together, filled with hope and promise. And as they faced the challenges that lay ahead, YN knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. Little did she know, their love would endure for all eternity, a beacon of light in the darkness, guiding them through the trials and tribulations of life. As YN and Jungkook stood together on the rooftop of his office building, watching the sun rise over the city, they knew that their love had stood the test of time, stronger than ever before. YN smiled, her heart overflowing with happiness. I love you, Jungkook.
I love you too, YN.
And as they embraced, the warmth of their love enveloped them, filling them with a sense of peace and contentment. For YN and Jungkook, this was just the beginning of their happily ever after, a love story for the ages, destined to endure for all eternity. And as they stood together, hand in hand, gazing out at the world before them, they knew that as long as they had each other, they could conquer anything life threw their way. For theirs was a love that knew no bounds, a love that would stand the test of time, forever and always.